Hardly anyone likes a trip to file government paperwork unless it comes with a reward. Violeta and Zlatko Georgievsky are confident theirs will be a check for their small farm. They got one last year.
We use the money to buy more feed for the cows when we don't have enough.
The couple keeps 28 dairy cows, 200 chickens, and a handful of pigs on the land his grandfather once farmed. After years on a desk job, Zlatko began to invest in the farm, buying animals, hiring farmhands, leasing pastures. He's built greenhouses and grows vegetables that Violeta sells along with their eggs in the village. After the global financial crisis forced the closing of a nearby milk processor, Zlatko didn't get as much for his milk. Without government subsidies, he might have given up. But the lure of expanding and selling beyond Macedonian borders keeps him going.
I can tell that, at the moment, we are far from European standards. But slowly, we are getting there.
In 5 years or less, Zlatko expects his farm and animals to be up to those standards, thanks in part to his trip to the Agriculture Agency. The Agriculture Payment Agency processes stacks of applications like Zlatko's from around the country. It will issue checks to Zlatko and thousands of other Macedonian farmers later this year. Swift work for an agency created 3 years ago with help from the World Bank. The aim is to develop rural areas so farmers can compete in regional markets and eventually the European Union.
We have a lot of efforts done in this field, and now in a stage when we are expecting the realization or execution of contracts that were signed under IPARC program.
These are EU funds. The smallest investment the agency matches under the program is 8,000 euros. The largest, 800,000. The former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia is one of the few countries in the region that has set up the institutional structure needed to access these funds. It's been a lot of work and a lot of paperwork to get to this point.
We are talking about a specialized institution, responsible, money from the state budget, but also money from EU budget from December 2009 to be delivered to the beneficiaries according to the rules that are well known to the beneficiaries.
And the agency is doing much more than writing checks. It's underpinning the foundation of the country's agriculture.
We are also establishing precise data on all agriculture producers or potential beneficiaries in Macedonia. And there are a lot of statistics about the production in many different fields.
For farmers, no documents means no check. They have to prove they own or rent their farm. Pushing farmers to register for land ownership helps the country to pinpoint not just who owns land, but who farms what and how productive the land is. After the breakup of the former Yugoslavia, big farms were disbanded, and these new data are vital to establishing what's growing where. That information helps bring farming, a huge part of people's income, into the mainstream economy of the country and the region. That's because the Ministry of Agriculture has been acting on the information. Every head of cattle has been counted and its health tracked.
Преку насочувањето на субвенциите сакаме да го подигнеме производството во стратешките култури за кои што сметаме дека се извозно.
By carefully directing the subsidies, we want to advance the production of our strategic products that we believe could be competitive in foreign markets. Second, in the cattle breeding sector, Macedonia noted a large decline in number of sheep and milking cows. Thanks to the intensive efforts of the Ministry of Agriculture and the Veterinary Directorate, we have managed to stop that declining trend and slowly increase the numbers of cattle. We are now in a situation where we have an increased production of dairy products, as well as an increased production and very successful export of young lambs to the European Union market, as well as to the countries in the region.
Agria, the country's second largest pork producer, raises 30,000 pigs a year. It's a big business where pig lives are measured by the kilo and sows are butchered if they don't produce big litters. Agria applied for a subsidy to raise more piglets without cages.
The funds that we are going to receive are intended for full renovation of 3 weaning buildings. The weaning buildings are used to raise piglets from 6 to 25 kilos.
Competition among pork producers is fierce and profit margins thin. So bringing pigs to their slaughter weight just half a day earlier because of conditions in weaning sheds is important to Agria. Thanks to reforms, more pigs nationwide are vaccinated against swine fever. There are fewer diseases in livestock. Agria slaughters its pigs and processes the meat, which it sells in butcher shops. New nationwide standards exist for slaughtering animals. State veterinary laboratories that test animal health and food safety are being accredited, and a campaign is underway to make the public aware of food safety.
We are not stopping there. We are developing an agricultural information management system and an agricultural accounting system. The latter will enable us to keep track of revenues of each and every agricultural community. The information management system, in turn, will provide data that will enable the Ministry of Agriculture to plan the movement of all strategic crops.
The Agriculture Department is also helping farmers to better package their products. And with improving roads and faster customs, those products are now more easily exported. Challenges remain. They include potentially devastating effects of climate change, higher temperatures and less rain.
It is a fact that the Macedonian agriculture is mainly rain-fed and rain-irrigated, so practically it will be very vulnerable on the lack of water and the lack of rain, which is mainly affecting the rural areas. The next step will be practically doing the economic analysis of the effects of climate change to the agriculture. That way we will get the argumentation in order to prioritize and to practically decide where the biggest need is to invest and to support the farmers in order for them to adapt to the climate change.
A lot of farming here is still done by hand on small plots, and the overhaul of agriculture is just beginning. But efforts are already paying off.
Macedonia
In the first 6 months of 2010, Macedonia has 40% higher revenues from exports in comparison to the same 6 months the previous year.
Zlatko and Violeta hope to buy more cows and to further mechanize so they too can export to markets outside the country. For now, their farm is supporting their small family and allowing their teenage son to fulfill his dream of going to law school. And other Macedonian farmers are taking advantage of their good climate and new investments to grow more and earn more.